right, so just looking at the sign stash, everything's gone. So I'm gonna put 4 packs of worms here that are no soak. So again, when you use them, you gotta soak them. Man, look at all these buoys. This is just up on the path, but there's 5 here. So here at Wade Creek, it's Monday, March 22nd. It's about 2:30 p.m. And even though I'm carrying my fishing rod, I'm not here to fish. It's a low tide at 0.8 feet. And so about the last 2 or 3 days, I probably have watched 8 to 10 hours of YouTube video on how to read the beach. And one of the things I keep trying to do is come back at low tide to see what the beach looks like, so when I come back at high tide I know where to fish. So low tide today is in about 5 or 10 minutes. It's 0.8 feet. So last time I came was January 11th. It was a negative 1.4 tide because it was a kicking tide. So the only reason I brought my rod is that I'm going to stand up the beach and then cast and then go look at the structure where my cast lands. So I don't know if I can even hit the water from where I'm going to cast, but just something to try. And I plan on coming back tomorrow, so I'm hoping this pays off today. It's cold and rainy right now. Outside, boy, there's a lot of sand that filled in all that rock over there. So the rocks are still out way down there, but there was a lot more rocks exposed January 11th. So I'll hit the south later. So you can tell how low the tide is by how much beach is exposed from the edge of the cliff all the way down to the water's edge, because most of the times we're standing way up there when we're casting. So and you can see again, this is the side just closest to the mouth of the creek, and again you see very little structure. That's very, very flat and very shallow. So that's why when today's like a 2000 energy day, I think, but that's why when it's a high energy day that the waves come way up the beach, because this is such a shallow beach. So I'm just ballparking it. I think this is roughly correct. I might be off about another 10 yards closer to the cliff, but I'm just going to cast. You can see how far the water is. So again, this is a low tide. And didn't even get close to the water. Not even close. I think I got maybe 60% of the way to the water. So I'm gonna go look down there though. Man, I thought I would cast a lot further than that. That looks so deceiving. That's funny. I'm glad I brought my rod. 55 steps. So roughly about 55 to 50 yards. That's how long my cast is. So now what I want to do is just walk along the areas that I'm hitting and then just kind of look for some structure. So I don't know if you can see it, but you can see some dry spots along the way and just very slight undulation. So I'm just going to keep walking down here. I was looking back to make sure I'm staying on my mark. Okay, and here's where the trees are. I usually fish and have pretty decent success. And you know, all I kind of see is, you can see it's a little more wet, like in right here too. It's a little more wet than other places, so you know, some maybe slight indentations here. There's definitely a small sandbar right here, I can see, and then there's a small trough right here. But again, they're very, very subtle changes in structure. You can see again, there's you know, again, minor sandbars here, and there's kind of tiny troughs, and again, that would correspond to where the trees are. But other than that, I don't see a lot. And again, here's another sandbar. Again, you can see because it's drier than everything else. So again, this is a little bit of a raised spot. Oh, right here, there's a pool right here. So just behind this bar, there's a small trough here. So it's only like a 2 or 3 inch difference, but you know, maybe that's enough because I'm right where the north of the trees are. And again, you can see it's wet up there and then dry and then wet. So again, those are the tiny sandbars that you see, and again, you can see them out there too. But other than that, man, I don't see very much. Oh, quit raining. That's nice. It's very windy today. But again, here you can see a hump here, and there's another hump here. There's some terrain here, and again, I'm just north of the trees, so, and this is the area I'd be casting in. It seems like the sand shifted around too from January 11th, because there's a lot less rocks exposed now, even on the north side. So one of the things that got drilled into me watching all those YouTube videos is wherever the water's breaking are the sandbars, and then if it flattens out and there's dark, then that means that there's a trough there. And generally what they were saying is you want to fish on both sides of the sandbar, because the sandbar is the high point and then the two sides would be the low points, and that's where the fish would hang out. And then the videos I saw, and they're mostly East Coast videos on the surf over there, but they call this dark line, you see the dark line right here along the shore, they called that the gutter or the gut. And so they said that if you fish the gut a lot of times, you know, there's a lot of bait fish in there, but again, that's an East Coast video, so I'm not sure. I haven't done well in dark water like that most of the time. I've always done well where the water's breaking. But you can see today that the waves are breaking way out there, and then it's pretty dark water, even though there's a lot of white caps and ripples. And then the waves break very close to the shore. So that's a huge sandbar out there, and I don't know how deep this trough is or how deep the gutter is, but you can see how long it runs the entire length of the shoreline. All right, so I'm at the houses now, and yeah, I can tell you that a lot of the rocks have been covered up by sand, so things have really changed since January 11th. So I'm really glad I came back today. That looks like there's a pretty deep, it's a pretty good drop off right here. Should have brought my pole down and made a few casts. Okay, so I'm just going to go up a little further, past more of the houses. Well, I can see the rocks now, they're submerged. So when I can see they're submerged. And again, when I came back last time, it was minus 1.4. So this would all have been exposed last time I was here. But yeah, this is about where I saw all those rocks, and if you go out that way, you're gonna get snagged. Okay, I'm gonna head back. Wave action up there looks a little bit better than down here, because you can see the waves are a little bit bigger that are breaking close to the shore compared to here, where, you know, all the swells that are breaking here are just tiny ones. Just wanted to see if I missed anything, and it even looks flatter from this angle than the angle that I was coming from before. And maybe it's because of the reflection of the sunlight, but it was a little bit easier. You can see them a little bit there, but it was easier to see these little tiny sandbar when I was coming the other direction. So this is what I would suggest everyone come do at low tide, whatever beach they can fish if they're able to. It just gives you an idea of where you're fishing and, you know, what the bottom contour looks like. So you can see that on the north side, you know, I'd stay away from the snags. Oh yeah, maybe this is the area. So now I'm starting to see easier high points. And it's funny now because, you know, I'm pretty sure I walked pretty straight, and before down at the north side I was getting hit by the water, but now I'm not. Water, and then look up towards the cliff. Now you can see the drier areas a little bit better. So again, I don't know if that's the reason why I've had a lot of success here or not, but it's the only explanation I can see. And again, there's a lot more dry spots up here and up there, but this area seems to have a lot more dry spots or high spots, you know, compared to the rest of the beach I've roamed so far. So I'm just walking back to get my pole, and you can see that there's a few small sandbars here, or, you know, I wouldn't even call them sandbars, they're so small. But again, they're just small indentations, you know, that you see in between the sandbars or sand elevations that maybe fish are hanging out. And again, we're right next to the trees, and That's kind of where I've been having my best action. So I'm going to take one more cast to see how close I can get to my last cast. Got it about 10 yards further, but you know, not a huge difference from my first cast. But I'm just guessing, you know, the distance from the cliff. But again, it's just a chance to give me a better estimate of where my rig is hitting. All right, so I'm going to go head to the south and see what's down there now. It's the creek, and I'm about the same distance I casted from before. But you can see how the cliff kind of butts out. So I'm sure that I'd be casting out a little bit further. But what I see is that there's a lot more sand than I remember here on January 11th when the king tide. So, you know, the rocks are definitely getting covered up. You know, here's a few places here. Right, oh, they put a garbage can here. But right next to the beginning of the cliffs, there's a bunch of rocks here that were much more exposed before. But now you can fish up here, and I don't see hardly any snagging area now. And before, there was a lot of troughs and sandbars on the south side, and I definitely don't see that anymore. Because that was the big difference between the north and the south, was that there was a lot of holes here, and the beach was much steeper with some drop-offs. But this almost looks like the north now, because I've been avoiding the south all this time because I still had the impression of what it looked like on January 11th. But man, this is all very different and very, very fishable now. So that's amazing to me. So I can tell you that I had some monster days here last year, right where this cliff edges. So I'm going to start fishing the south now. Man, I can't believe the difference. This is like a world of difference. Because I was just actually watching my January 11th video today, because I wanted to have a picture in my mind of what the beach looked like on January 11th. And this is a totally different beach now. It really, really is. So I'm going to have to start coming south. Now I'm going to take a couple casts. I'm going to walk down a little bit further. But now I'm kind of psyched to take a couple casts. I wasn't going to fish. But after seeing this, it's like, oh my God, I can't believe the difference in the beach. All right, let me try a couple casts. That's totally different as I get closer to the waves here. The breaking waves here are right in front, and it looks like really good water to fish. So that's a really big difference I noticed right away between the north and the south right now. All right, first cast. With Dow early February, he was up on that cliff up there, and that's where he lost 5 or 6 rigs. But now he wouldn't lose any rigs because there's no rocks exposed. So again, that's how different it is. Looking down the beach as I'm casting, I've only got 2 casts in, but as I move further south, the waves are way out there now, and everything close is really shallow. But I just wanted to see the beach more than anything, because again, I didn't really come here to fish. But I figured, you know, what the heck, I'll throw a cast out or 2. But again, I'm looking for structure, and I don't see much here on the south side anymore. Because there used to be a big trough last year, but I don't even see that anymore. Well, maybe I saw it. Okay, I can see water movement right here. So I don't know if this is the trough or not. But water movement right here is definitely different. I don't know if it's a rip or not though. But the other thing with the south side is you can see that there's very little beach here compared to the north. So you're going to get cut off a lot quicker at high tide. So I'm guessing this is probably not even accessible at 7 or 8 feet, because it's 0.8 and there's not much room left. So nothing in the trough. I'm going to just keep walking south. See what there is down there and keep casting. Okay, so now I see some, I don't know, rippling water here compared to, see how the water is calm right there, but not like right here. So there's got to be something here. And again, I think this is where maybe the rocks start, because the water's pretty dark right here. But anyway, coming south, I don't see anything else here. And the Mouth Creek is way up there. I've actually fished further south than this, but that's when those rocks were covered with sand as well. Fishing to catch. I wouldn't be fishing here because the breaking waves are just so far out from here. So I just wanted to see what the beach looked down here, but I'm going to start heading back to the mouth and then throw a few casts where I thought where the wave action was pretty awesome. But I think I got done what I wanted to do, which was come look at the beach at a low tide and look at how different it was compared to January 11th. And man, I can tell you there's a world of difference on the south side. It's like night and day. All right, heading my way back. Tide. I see this darker water here. I guess that's where you'd want to fish, and there's a little bit darker water there, but other than that I really don't see much difference. Here's a sandbar. I can see a sandbar right here, but I don't see much difference otherwise compared to the north like I used to see. So I got about 3 casts in. I'm guessing about 6 or 7 minutes total time. But I didn't let the rig stay out there like I normally would if I was catching, because I just kind of wanted to get out of here since I'm coming tomorrow. All right, so let's summarize. I don't see much changes on the north other than some of the rocks near the houses were covered up. But the south side is drastically different. And if you go back and watch my January 11th video, it's so much different now than January 11th, and I don't see near the rocks exposed like there used to be. Like this rock formation used to be a ton bigger. So looks like I'm going to start heading towards the south again and start fishing. You guys use sand spikes out there, but this is the one I use because you can fold it down, and then there's a thumb screw that you tighten, and it just makes it a lot smaller to carry, especially if you carry it in a bucket. So this is what I use when I crab snare. I used it today when I was casting so I could have something to hold my pole, but I don't ever carry it when I perch fish. So one last thing is that now that the South Beach looks fishable again, that's twice as much beach you gotta roam to go find the fish. It was an easy decision before for me because it was like, nah, South's too rocky, not enough sand there, but that's totally changed the game. So we'll see how tomorrow goes.